Well, yesterday we had an opportunity to spend some time at the Pat T. Garden Memorial Classic out at Fort Wayne Sport Club with over 30 JV soccer teams from all over the state of Indiana. It was a fantastic time. We got to meet many of you there, and hopefully you're watching the show tonight for the first time. And as the high school season draws nearer to its end, we look forward to the postseason sectional tournament. The sectional pairing show was live tonight at 7 o'clock. We watched it very intently. We're going to talk a lot about that tonight. And we have an answer based on last week's question on how a soccer game goes to 12 rounds of penalties, how they work that out. We'll talk about that and more on tonight's episode of Fort Wayne Footy. But first, before we get into it, tonight's episode is brought to you by OmniSource, our sponsor. OmniSource is one of America's largest processors, distributors, and managers of scrap and secondary metals based right here in Fort Wayne. Check out their suite of services at omnisource.com. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Fort Wayne Footy. This is episode number 23, and we had a lot going on this weekend. A lot of soccer games at the JV tournament at the Pat T. Garden Classic that we will get into a little bit tonight. And we have, a fresh face back again as on our team. So we'll get to talk to her a little bit here in just a moment too. So we're excited to get into tonight's show with the focus on the sectional pairings and the first round of what we're looking at here in another week or so in high school soccer. First, let me introduce our team here. My name's Brian, hosting the show tonight. We've got Dustin Diller, as always. Dustin, how you doing tonight, my friend?
Doing good. It's nice to be indoors and not outside in the sweltering heat like we were yesterday. So I'm enjoying this.
It was hot. I think what they say, it hit like 86 degrees yesterday or something.
Yeah. We had a tent. It was fine, but it was hot.
We had a tent. We had shade. I will say I had a hat on all day, and bald guys like me have to be careful when you wear a hat on a sunny day because you get this tan line or burn line. So I tried to stay under the tent. I think I did a decent job. No one said anything today if there's a line there. I can't see the back of my head. I don't know. But no, it was fun to hang out there. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Paul was there as well. How you doing tonight, Paul? You recovered from the heat?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And along with the heat, we had some bees flying around, and literally mid-podcast, Todd Gilpin's like, I got stung by a bee and I need some Benadryl. I'm like, oh, okay. So we had a lot going on, weather and insect-wise, but it was a great event overall. I'm glad to have Todd still with us and everyone else who joined us.
I, too, am glad to have Todd still with us. That was a first for us, at least. We're only, 23 episodes in, but I don't know how many other podcasts can say we had a guy that is allergic to bees get stung on the show, waiting for medicine. So, Todd, I know you're watching. I'm glad you're still with us. And a face that I mentioned earlier, fresh face that hasn't been here in a while, is back again, who has not been fired. We always have to say that because everybody gets on our case anytime she is not on the show. Autumn DeMott, welcome back. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks, Brian. I'm happy to be back.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you're back too, because people can now get off our case a little bit. But no, you weren't able to make it to the tournament yesterday as well, the Tea Garden Classic, where we were streaming some live shows. You had some stuff happening, right? What'd you have going on yesterday?
I had a half marathon race in the morning for Fort for Fitness, and then we, as Canterbury team, had a makeup game in the afternoon. So one event to the other. Yeah,
and you were still on your feet, which is a good thing by the time you had to coach, right?
Yeah, around 7:30 is when I crashed. Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. And you knocked it out in like 2 hours or something, right? You had a pretty good time.
Yeah, I was pretty proud of the time.
Yeah, well done. I ran that race one time, and it's not a race that I want to do again. I feel proud of myself for a half marathon, but yeah. That's the last time I'll do that. Whether I want to or not, my knees can't handle it anymore. So anyway, let's we had a lot happening this week, and there's a lot of stuff to talk about, but we want to talk about your
soccer moment of the week.
And we'll start with you, Paul. What was your soccer moment this week?
I'll go back to the pet tea garden event that we had yesterday. It was a lot of fun. Got to meet some people. Well, I met Micah Mittendorf. We'd been on the podcast several times. We'd never met in person.
Oh,
So
is
that
that
was kinda
real?
cool.
I did not I did not realize that.
That's a true story. Yeah, and came across some other coaches from other teams, and it was just a lot of fun. We even it was fun to see the behind the scenes of the Fort Wayne Footy podcast. We kind of made stuff up as we went. We had some technical difficulties first time around, and Brian and I tried, I don't know, 3-4 different camera setups for the other ones. So it was just a lot of fun. We got some war stories that came out of it. We got some B stories that came out of it. We had some good interviews that came out of it. So yeah, that was fun for me.
Yeah, we had the bee sting. We also had a camera fall over in the wind in the middle of an interview, which that was pretty fun and fantastic. So yeah, it was a good time there. Dustin, soccer moment of the week.
That's a good question. I feel like it's all a blur, to be completely honest. Like the whole week is a blur as far as soccer is concerned. I would say, gosh, probably, I mean, yesterday was fun. Honestly, yesterday was a lot of fun. I had a good time. The boys played really well. It was good to see some good teams there. And yeah, I think we had some really good interviews with some coaches, and I felt like that was good. And it was good to just be outside and at the pitch, like in watching multiple games at once and interacting with the players. And yeah, I would say that was probably my highlight.
Yeah, it was a good time out there. That would be my soccer moment of the week too. I think I will add that just to meet athletic directors, coaches, players. We had a couple of kids from Wayne High School stop by and just hang out with us for a little bit. We shouted them out on the show live. So that was a good time. Just to, I got messages from them too, by the way. Hey, thanks for shouting us out. We listened to the show. We watched it back after our game. That was a ton of fun to get to know some players. And even, I'll tell you what, some of our players at Homestead that kind of heard and whatever that I did a podcast, but they showed up and they were like, oh, this is like for real. Like this is legit. So that was a lot of fun to just, talk to players and whatnot that day. And now, Autumn, this was a new segment that we just kind of threw up last week. So you haven't been prepped for this. I'm curious what your soccer moment of the week is. And it can be you, it can be your team, it could be something you saw on TV, anything soccer related. What's your soccer moment of the week?
Well, I mean, I'm kind of with Dustin on this. It all blurs together. I listened to last week though. Can I cheat and use one from last week?
Absolutely.
Is that okay? Okay, thanks for rolling with this one. So last Saturday we had back-to-back games for our girls, and the first morning game, our girls battled hard, and we went the full 80 minutes. And then had to go into double overtime, and then we had to go into PKs. And I know we've talked about on episodes of that and how games, is that fair? Is it, with PKs and everything like that? But our team pulled out a win, and they battled hard for that. And it was one that we weren't really sure or really expecting to win. So from a coaching standpoint, I was really proud of them to pull out that win, especially battling with 0 subs and having to play that whole time. And then obviously we had another game within an hour and 45 minutes after. So that one was a little bit more rough, but Northrop brought us a good game, and I wanted to give them a shout out as well because they look pretty solid this year. So that would probably be my moment within the last 2 weeks if I get to cheat.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we'll just always remember Autumn as a cheater on the show,
right.
But whatever. Like we do have one in the comments from Christina. If you're watching, you have a soccer moment of the week, we'd love to know it. She made it down to Butler to see Ari Briscoe play against Akron yesterday. So great saves, she says, but who's surprised, right? Ari gave us a quote about our conversation last week. So it was fun to hear from him. Yeah. And I messaged back and forth with him a little bit this week too, about possibly coming down to see one of their games. So Christine, I'm glad you got down there. I should coordinate with you if you ever get down there again. It'd be fun to make the trip with a group of, folks from the regiment and Fort Wayne Footy and whatnot. So, and anybody else from Fort Wayne that wants to go. Let's wrap up this segment.
Soccer moment of the week.
And let's move into some of the biggest stories out of high school and college soccer in the area in this last week. Paul, you had a couple in the notes there. I'll let you kick us off. Some of the and here's where this is coming from, guys. Just so you know, we spend a lot of time recapping scores on the show that you can find anywhere, and we want to talk about some of the stories that are happening. So we'll talk about some of the scores, but we want to really focus on some of the players and the stats and the stories that are coming out of high school soccer here as we wrap up the season. Paul, I'll kick it to you.
Yeah, I caught a couple games live this week. One of them was Bishop Lures. We mentioned this last week, saying that we had a critical game, Lures versus Northrop. That's the the Summit Conference title was at stake. So I got to catch the first half of that game because I was out at Sport Club where Lures was hosting, and I believe it was 0-0 at half there, but ended up being a 2-1 victory for Lures. We had a nice goal. It was off of a corner kick, I believe, by Ryan Stoker, and then Andres Rodriguez with the second goal to seal the deal. And I believe the one goal for Northrop was a PK, but in my opinion, Lures, they looked like the strong team out there. They scored the two goals minus a PK from Northrop, and it was just a great battle. I really enjoyed watching it live. The other
that's
game
what you want to see, right? For a conference championship.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it wasn't the official championship, but it decided the championship, right? Of the
so cool that we have 4 conferences between the boys and the girls, 4 different conference matchups going on, and I think there's at least 2 of them, maybe 3, that are coming down to like the final match or 2 of the season. And PKs are not. It's just really cool to say, hey man, these 2 teams are the ones battling it out. Just so happens that their season schedule has them at the back end, and it's something on the line, and it just makes it feel really cool to have that play out that way.
Yeah, no doubt. And we actually had Anthony Anzini, Coach Anzini, who's commenting in the chat about Homestead's draw. We'll talk about that later on the show live yesterday. So if you want to go back and watch that, we've got that posted up on our YouTube channel as well. Mm-hmm. Paul, any other stories?
Of course, I was at the Homestead girls game. My daughter plays there, and if there's one game we circle on the calendar each year, it's Homestead versus Carroll. There's no conference stuff at stake, but it's the crosstown rivals, and it's always a good matchup. And it's played out. We had 6 goals total. It was Homestead was down 2-1 at half. 2 really nice goals by Bryn Patterson, Aaliyah Douglas, put us in a bit of a hole for Homestead. But come second half, it was also another great battle, and our Homestead attacking trio of Morris, Zyroth, and Johnson, we combined for all 4 goals and 2 assists. But one of the heroes for the game for me was Allie Heine. She plays our number 6, and she's our senior, just a beast out there. She big slide tackles, some shots on goal, and stuff like that. So the game played out. I think we had a great crowd, biggest crowd of the season, and just what you'd want. I mean, at least from the Homestead side, even if we had lost, it was just like what a fun game, what a fun atmosphere.
Yeah, that's always a big rivalry, right? Carroll Homestead, boys and girls, always a big one. Always fun to see. And, Homestead's had to play, if I'm not mistaken, the Homestead girls have had to play out of a deficit a couple times this season. I think last week, did you say they had to score 3 or 4 goals in the last 12 minutes to win the game?
10. Yeah. It's not a habit we want to create, but yeah.
Yeah. Let's not do that going into sectionals. If you're a Homestead fan, you don't want to see that going into sectionals. Yeah. So, but their draw looks pretty decent. So, hopefully that's not the case once we get there in the show. I will say that some of the biggest stories from my perspective, and Autumn and Dustin, if you have others, feel free to jump in. I'll start with our guys at Homestead. I think we're right there. We've got 3 losses on the season, 1 to Penn, 1 to Concord, our first 2 matches of the season. We were like, oh no, what's the season look like? But they were both ranked teams at the time. They still are. Good teams, and then we dropped our 3rd to Carroll this last week, and so Carroll's a good team. Carroll's ranked, I think, 3rd in state now. Is that right, Dustin? Mm-hmm. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
So that's my other story.
It depends on what you look at.
Right.
Like we talked about a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, which poll you look at. Yeah. But that's my other one. Is I think Carroll is legit. Carroll is a good team. I got to see them live, up close, in person. Dropped the game. Homestead did to Carroll 1-0. that night. It was a hard fought game, but man, you got a good team up there at Carroll, Dustin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been fun to watch. It'll be interesting to see as we talk through like sectional draw and all that kind of stuff, what that looks like. But yeah, I think they're a strong team. I think they have the talent. I think it's just, we have had one loss on the season. It was to Goshen, and Goshen's a tough team, and to play in Goshen, we were talking about it this weekend, to play in Goshen. I think even Anthony, when we were talking about playing up there, it's just different from a reffing perspective, from a play perspective. It's a different game. So it'd be interesting to see, how far they can make a run, because again, last year, and I think the year before, I my memory is not 100%, but regional Warsaw took us out in regional, and so Warsaw doesn't have as strong a team this year as they have in the past couple years. So who knows what ends up happening?
Yeah. Who knows? Like, you got to play the games, right? You look at the draw, which we will. We've got some questions coming in, thoughts on Lakewood Park draw. We'll get to that. You could make predictions going into sectionals, but you just never know. You got to play the games. You could end up with injuries. You could end up, guys just not having a great night, which we saw a few nights ago with a couple of our teams that normally play really well and just didn't on particular nights. Autumn, from your perspective, any stories that really stood out to you this week? I know you've had a lot going on with your team. You've had some games, you've had some injuries, and all of that. But as you look at Canterbury or beyond, any stories stand out to you?
I would just say that we played Belmont this past Thursday, and they're in our bracket. So I'm really excited to see how they play out, because last year, I think they were a strong team last year, but what I saw on Thursday, I think they have a lot to offer again this year. So I'm curious to see how well they do. And then, oh gosh, who did we just play on Saturday?
Was that Dwenger?
Yeah, Dwenger. Thank you. See, you guys know my schedule better than I do sometimes.
We got you.
Thanks. No, Dwenger was good. I mean, they are solid. They have number 16 or 17 on the wing. She is just a beast out there. And so I think, hearing how the conversations have gone throughout the season with Dwenger, they stood the test, and they came to play yesterday. And so I was really impressed with that. So curious to see how they do as well.
Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff happening right now. As we wrap up the season, you really get to see, what teams are stepping up when it matters, what teams have kind of coasted a little bit this season, because I heard so much talk yesterday from multiple people, not just one person, but multiple people talking about the season was great, but really, if you're not in a conference, it's just a bunch of friendlies. And now is when the season really starts. And I think there's some teams that really have approached the season that way, as far as let's see what players we've got and where we can put them and slot them in, and you experiment all season long. And then you get to the postseason and go, okay, here we go. So I just wonder if we have seen the best of what some of these teams have to offer quite yet. And maybe we have, and maybe this week we'll see more of that as teams begin to wrap up their season with, 2-3 games left here this last week before sectionals. So we'll get into the draw here in a minute. I do want to point you to our Patreon. We've got some new things happening over there. We had some people join Patreon yesterday, which was fantastic. We've got part 4 in a series on the history of soccer here in Fort Wayne that's coming out this week. Part 3 just released a few days ago. So if you're interested in that, they're just short blog type articles on the history of Fort Wayne. And this last one is getting into Fort Wayne FC and the launch of that and where we're going with that. We got $5 and $10 a month partner monthly tiers that you can participate, but we also, for the first time today, have new one-time donation opportunities. So if you don't like to commit to something monthly and you want to support what we're doing and just give one time, you have that option too. There's an article that explains that. Visit us over there at Patreon to search for Fort Wayne Footy, and there's an article that will talk about that, and we'll get into that. Do want to thank our Patreon members, Christina Copeland and Ryan Smeltzer, for their support over there for the last couple of months on Patreon. Thank you for helping us do what we do. We've got a comment here from John Summer. No mention of Blackhawk Christian, Homestead boys, and then Blackhawk Concordia girls. And where's Micah? Micah's had a lot going on, so he's out tonight and unable to join it. But yes, I'm glad you got us to circle back to Blackhawk and Homestead. That was a battle. I can talk a little bit about it from my perspective. I don't know if you all saw it, Paul. Maybe you saw it, were there, heard about it.
From the girls' perspective, yeah, I talked with Micah about this, saying, honestly, going into that game, I would have thought Concordia had the upper leg on that, and it was a 2-2 draw, I believe, between Blackhawk and Concordia. And Micah gave a lot of credit towards that midfield in Blackhawk. Just, Corey is their go-to at the attacking mid for Concordia. He said they did a good job of, containing her. She had a couple opportunities they didn't finish. And he said in the end, that 2-2 draw just kind of felt like, yeah, that's kind of appropriate. It wasn't a fluke or anything like that. No team really dominated to go away with it. But yeah, it's a good assessment.
Yeah. We did talk about the Blackhawk and Homestead boys game a little bit yesterday on the show. We had Coach Sam Meyer from Blackhawk on our first live show yesterday at the Tea Garden Classic. Unfortunately, we were having all sorts of issues with our cameras and our audio recording. So we did the show live. We did not get a recording of it. So maybe that's why I overlooked that game as we got talking, but it ended in a 0-0 draw, which from Homestead's perspective, which is where I am, I think both teams played great. It was a battle all the way through. Both teams played fantastic. Blackhawk has dropped almost 60 goals on people this year. Like, they've been an offensive powerhouse and have given up, if I remember correctly, less than 10 goals on the season. So scoring close to 60, I think they're just under 60, and they've given up less than 10. Is that right, Paul?
I think I have, at the latest as of today, 70 goals for, 9 goals against for Blackhawk boys.
70 goals for. They're up over. Okay.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because of today's scores. Yeah, so to hold Blackhawk to 0 goals, and honestly, they had a few chances, but I don't think they were great chances on goal. I think Homestead had some better chances, but we didn't finish them either. And so, including a penalty that was just up wide of the goal. So that was unfortunate, but it was a battle to the end. And you walk away kind of with mixed feelings of that as a coach, as a player. Like, we just drew with a team that scored 70 goals and didn't allow them to score, but we also had a chance to hand them their first loss of the season, and we didn't do that either. And so it was quite a match. It was fun to watch. It was fun to be part of. Boys walked away, just, again, mixed feelings and all, but both teams friendly after the game. It was just a good matchup.
Is that an instance where you would want PKs just so someone goes away a winner?
No. No, you don't want that. Because we had one, and we don't want to go into, PKs going, we already missed one. We can't do this again. Right. Yeah. And so it was a challenge. I feel for the kid, right? Like, the opportunity was there, and it is what it is. I think he got taken out in the box, and I think he was a little hobbled, right? Limping a little bit. So I don't think he was 100%. And we had him step up and take it, and it is what it is. But man, to go 0-0 with the team that scored 70 goals, I'll take it.
Like Sam said yesterday, like, they have a really young team. They only have three seniors graduating. So to be playing like this with 3 seniors graduating, and he said one of the seniors is one that just literally, like, they were like, hey, just come out and play. Like, not even one of like a starter. So they're losing 2. Like, they're losing 2 players this next year. And so, they have the potential to have a really strong team moving forward. So, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be fun to watch for sure. And the girls are killing it there at Blackhawk as well. Which we talked just a little bit about. I do want to transition us to the sectional tournament that's coming up. The IHSAA streamed live the sectional draw, and we're going to go in this order. So if you're listening and you want to hear your team mentioned, or you want to hear like what the pairings are, maybe you missed the show, we'll have them up on the screen. We'll talk through it a little bit. We're going to go in the order of all the girls first. So girls 1A, girls 2A, girls 3A, and then we'll shift to the boys 1A, 2A, and 3A as we wrap up show tonight. So let's start with the girls 1A. And if you're listening and you've got questions or you have thoughts on the pairings, thoughts on how things are looking to play out, thoughts on predictions on this first round, anything could happen, let us know in the chat and we'll get your comment up here. And if you got questions, we'll jump into that. So let's go girls 1A, sectional 37. That is the Blackhawk Christian is hosting that one. And so all these screenshots are from the IHSAA broadcast tonight as we talk through these, so you are aware of that. We've got Blackhawk facing Eastbrook in that one, and that's probably the teams that are closest to Fort Wayne, or at least Blackhawk anyway. How do you guys see this one, this pairing, Fort Wayne Blackhawk against Eastbrook? I assume they go on to the championship. What are you thinking in this regional here?
So I think, didn't we have, was it Ryan that was talking earlier about South Adams, about their team, their girls team being a fairly strong team this year? So yeah, is that correct, Autumn?
Yeah. We face off tomorrow, and I pulled up their record this evening, like earlier this evening, and they look really solid this year.
Okay. So, I mean, I think I see like a Blackhawk, possibly South Adams in the championship to see who, who moves on. Yeah.
If you look at their schedule or their records here, Blackhawk is 10-1-3. I feel like this is their sectional to lose, but you never know coming out of it. South Adams is 6-8. And then we have Eastbrook that Blackhawk is facing off at 4-5-2 right now. So some tough teams, but definitely, some of these teams are in conferences where they just get beat up. The teams beat up on each other, and so the records don't always tell the full story there. So anybody see anyone besides Todd's in the chat saying Blackhawk beat South Adams 6-0 earlier this season. And so I gotta imagine Blackhawk is the team that comes out of this sectional here.
I agree. I think so Blackhawk Christian and Eastbrook, they each got the bye, so they face each other in the semifinal. Even though Eastbrook's like at 4-5-2, they're ranked, I think, second highest as far in this bracket. So you're probably going to get two stronger teams in that semifinal, and then whoever comes out of the upper half of the bracket there.
All right, let's move on. Girls 2A. That's the only girls 1A is the only one in the area in 1A. Girls 2A hosts at East Noble. Features Lakeland and DeKalb, Bishop Dwenger and Angola. West Noble and East Noble face off, and then Garrett faces off against Concordia Lutheran. As you look at those matchups, and it's important to say, I'll take this off the screen for a second. It's important to say, for those that don't know, this is not a ranked system. Like, it's not a seeded system, like bottom seed plays top seed. It's a blind draw, and so all the teams from that sectional go into a pot. Names are pooled, and so sometimes you get some matchups that are like the top two teams in the state, which we'll talk about later, get paired off against each other, and you're like, okay, first round of sectionals, either one of these teams could win state, but one of them's going home in the first round. So so as we look at the girls 2A, we got a couple top teams playing there.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dwenger is amazing. I mean, I've watched them play Carroll and girls, and they're a good team. They're a really good team. And so I think, truthfully, out of this one, it's theirs probably to lose, if I had to guess. Their record is the best out of everybody in this, I believe. And, we can't rule out Concordia Lutheran because, Micah's got a good team there too. So it'd be interesting to see if they end up in the championship together.
Yeah, I love that. I love the fact that Dwenger's on the upper half, Concordia's on the lower half. If you recall, last year it was Concordia that knocked Dwenger out. So I'd love to see that rematch again. And even this year they face each other. And it was, remember, Concordia went up 2-0 like really early. We had a flurry of goals, and Dwenger won that 4-3. So I love this matchup, the fact that they're on opposite sides of the bracket.
Yeah, and don't count DeKalb out either. DeKalb's having a great season at 9-4. The DeKalb girls, so they're tied for second in the NE8 conference. And And so anything goes, I think, in this one. This will be a tough one. I think maybe Dwenger comes out. But if we can get a Dwenger Concordia championship, would be a fun matchup for sure.
Do we go and do we live stream it?
Yes.
If we've looked into that. We won't go there. We haven't looked into it. Joking. Paul has looked into it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
okay.
We can talk about that off air sometime.
I was going to say, sorry.
We need a lawyer and an actor.
I didn't know any of that, and so I just say that. I just threw that out there.
Great, thanks. Yeah. But hey, if there's a need and anybody's listening, hey, we could help the IHSAA out somehow, some way down the road. Yeah. Let's move on. Sectional 20, girls 2A. This is hosted at Canterbury, we think. Autumn, can you speak to
TBD. That? Yeah. As of now, we'll still be at Canterbury.
Okay. As of now, still at Canterbury.
Yes.
Had maybe an issue with the field or something, right? I don't know.
We water line break. It's been fun.
Okay. All right.
Does Vegas know about this yet?
So that before we get into that does bring up I think something important that we could talk about, like field conditions. Does that play a factor? Like a lot of teams play on turf, and some teams play on grass. So depending on where it's hosted, really could make a difference in the team that comes out and how they perform on one surface or another. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yep. And not even just that, one team gets a home field advantage, right? Because one of these teams in each sectional, rotates each season. But one's going to get a home field advantage, and that can't be overlooked.
Yep. Yeah. No doubt. So where were we? Sectional 20, girls 2A at Canterbury. We have Woodland gets the bye. Bishop Lours plays Heritage. Canterbury plays Norwell, and Belmont, New Haven. As you look at those matchups, any obvious ones coming out, or you think there's going to be some good battles there?
Belmont, they're still my favorite. They gave up
Belmont,
zero goals in conference play.
Wow.
They've given up few. They've had some losses early in the season, but they gave up few goals to strong teams, and I just don't know. For me, they're the ones. Norwell's probably the second one who they would see in the semifinals.
Yeah, if I'm being realistic as well, I think it'll come down to Belmont and Norwell again.
But you are going to put up a fight against Norwell, right?
You are right, Brian. We will be in it to try and win it.
There you go. All right, so girls 3A, sectional 5, hosted at Fort Wayne Northrop. We've got Snyder and Leo get the byes first round. They'll play each other in the second round. Carroll gets a bye first round, and they'll face the winner of Northrop and Northside in that second round of the girls 3A sectional 5, hosted at Northrop. As you look at this, Autumn, maybe you've played some of these teams. Who are you looking at in the sectional here?
To be honest, we've only played Northrop and Leo. And so those are really the only teams that I could probably speak on. Northrop looked really solid. I don't know off the top of my head what Northside's record was or how they looked this season. But if I had to choose, Northrop will advance. I think Leo, and I don't know how Snyder is either. But from what I saw after we played with Leo and how they're progressing, they might have a shot. I think it could be one of those where it's anyone's game. Yeah. Carroll's been good though too. So
yeah, I think go ahead.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I think Carroll would probably advance. They'd play probably Northrop. Carroll would advance. I'm not sure about Snyder or Leo.
Yeah, I think that second round matchup is one of the ones that I think is unfortunate, that you have two good teams in Northrop and Carroll that will face off in not to count anybody out. I'm not saying that, but the two teams, Carroll sits at 11-2-2 and Northrop at 10-3, are going to face each other in the semifinal of the sectional. And so that one will be a battle. And then Leo definitely, we've talked about them several times on the show this year, started off rough with Homestead and Carroll, I believe, at the beginning of the season, but have just been building since then. Have only lost 2 other games all season since those first couple. And so Leo don't count them out quite yet either.
Leo's going to play Northrop this week in regular season, so they'll get a good warm up there. And then Leo lost to Carroll 8-0 very early. They'd probably love another shot at Carroll. So
Yeah,
I see Leo being in the championship there, given the fact they have the bye in the semi. And Leo Carroll's my prediction on that final, and then probably Carroll in the end.
Yeah. All right. Well, the good news is this is all being recorded, so we can come back and check.
I'm bulletin board material now. Oh no.
That's right. If you needed bulletin board material, we're giving it to you, whether the other team asked for it or not. So, not intentionally, no. We do want to talk honestly about what we've seen so far this season. So, wrapping up the girls 3A sectional 6 at Huntington North. Is Homestead and Columbia City facing off in the second round. They get the first round bye. And the first round is actually going to be Wayne and Southside. The winner of that will advance to play Huntington North, who also has a first round bye. Man, as I look at this one, just being straight up honest, like Homestead is tough. We've talked about them all season. Paul, you've got a front row seat, maybe a back row seat because you're sitting top of the bleachers filming, but that's going to be a tough one. I think this one's theirs to lose, but again, you have to play the games. You can't just give it to a team who's, maybe the clear favorite. You got to play, and who knows what happens.
Agree. I think this is actually just randomly picked. It seems fairly balanced, having kind of a play-in game, and also notice that these 2 3A sectionals are only 5 teams each. So they're a little bit lighter. A lot get buys to get into that semifinal round, whereas I think 2A had maybe 7 or 8 teams. So you get to the semifinals pretty quickly, and maybe we're not beating around the bush because you have some stronger teams. Are like, okay, well, let's just move along with it. And I think this one looks fine. I still predict Homestead. Sorry, I'm biased.
Yeah. But of the two, like if you look at the previous sectional we just looked at, Carroll playing Northrop is going to be a tougher match probably than Homestead playing any of the teams in this sectional.
Agree.
But again, you got to play the games. Anything could happen. And we'll have to see how that plays out if it goes as we assume. Let's switch over to the boys. We'll start with the boys 1A, sectional 35 at Westview. Now, there's not many teams from the Fort Wayne area there, but we do have Canterbury. We do have Lakewood Park Christian. We do have Westview going out there. East Side's just a little bit farther north of us, and then Blackhawk Christian. So I guess there's more teams than I realized. There as I started reading those off. Prairie Heights gets the bye, and we've got Central Noble facing off against Canterbury, Lakewood Park Christian against Westview, and East Side against Blackhawk Christian. So the question earlier in the chat was thoughts on Lakewood Park's draw. Any thoughts there?
Tough. It's this. We talked about the Homestead one. It was a little more balanced, I think, top to bottom. This one, you look at the lower left of that bracket, and 3 of those teams are going to be. That's going to be a battle just to get to the semifinals. With Blackhawk Christian's just killing it. We talked about 70 goals for, 17 against. Blackhawk probably also has one of the toughest regular season schedules, so I think they're going to be pretty seasoned. So who did they play? Westview in the first round. Westview is, in my opinion, probably the second one in that bracket. So that's a tough quarterfinal to go into for Lakewood Park Christian.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that's a tough draw against Westview. Westview has been putting teams away, and I know they've got a few losses on the season. Lakewood Park's been playing well. We talked about Lane Snyder from Lakewood Park getting 6 assists in one game a few matches ago, and so I don't remember who they played that particular game, but there is opportunity there. Lakewood Park's not doing too bad. They're sitting at 9-5, I believe. Ranked just below Westview according to Max Prep. So whatever Max Prep's ranking system is, they're not too far behind them. And so I think it's a tough game. I think of all the first round matchups in that one, I think that's the toughest first round matchup there will be in this sectional 35.
And then the only buy there is Prairie Heights. They could conceivably make it at a 3-11 record to the
3-11.
championship game, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, wow,
Yeah.
that's the nature of random draws.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's look at this. Canterbury faces Central Noble. Canterbury's got a record of 2-9 and Central Noble's at 1-13. So that's going to be a tough matchup too, but, Prairie Heights comes in with 3-11. They've got the best record of those three teams.
Could be.
Yeah. Interesting draw there. And then you've got Lakewood Park and Westview battling it out in the first round. And then Blackhawk Christian, I think, gets by East Side fairly easily in this one. And then next round, who knows? Who knows? Probably, I don't know. We won't make second. Go ahead.
I'll just say, like, Blackhawk Christian is playing like 3A teams. I mean, multiple 3A teams leading up to sectionals. So, I haven't seen, I don't know for sure, but I have not seen Lakewood Park playing that kind of play. I don't know about Westview if they are, but I mean, Blackhawk Christian is setting themselves up to be prepared for whoever they come into contact with that second round. I just think they've done a great job of scheduling teams that are challenging to them, that are bigger schools, and playing well to prepare them for this.
Yeah. Michelle's back in the chat saying, "Can we have a do-over?" I think you're maybe referencing the draw.
The Lakewood Park.
Yeah. Can we have a redraw? And that's the challenge, right? Of having a blind draw that we mentioned it earlier, that it's not a seeded system. So you've got two tough teams that are, one of them's going home on Monday or Tuesday next week, and probably should move on to potentially a championship in the sectional. So bring your A game. Moving on to the boys 2A sectional, we've got, this one's hosted at Belmont. Heritage gets the bye in the first round. We've got Manchester facing off against Woodland, Norwell facing off against Concordia Lutheran, and then Bishop Luers and Belmont facing off to round out that bracket. This is the one, we talked to Coach Anzini yesterday from Bishop Luers, and I forget who did Luers put Concordia out last year. Was that happen?
Concordia put Luers out, remember? Because Concordia made it to semi-state.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
I had that backwards.
Yeah.
Finals, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to see
finals. I thought, what was it?
In the state finals,
it was,
okay. They made it 5.
Yeah. I thought that in sectionals,
that was semifinals. You're right. No, you're right. So Luers lost to Concordia in the semifinals of the sectional, I believe.
Yeah.
Concordia boys made it like all the way to the finals in the state.
Yeah. They were state runner-up. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's that would be an interesting matchup when it's not the first game. So,
but it's a semifinal of
the
sectional again, where those two teams will face off.
I know it. Yeah. That's tough. That's tough. I think when it comes down to it, I don't know. I think Luers is a stronger team. As I'm looking at the end of the season, I mean, they won conference. I feel like they have the upper hand. I think that Concordia is a good team, but I think Concordia has dropped off a little from last year. Just some injuries, that kind of stuff, and so I think Luers is out for blood. Hardcore. I mean, Anzini made it very clear they're out for blood. They want this, and so I don't know. Well, I think that. I mean, he talked yesterday a little bit about keeper and how like that was a struggle at the beginning of the year. Now they kind of figured it out, and so I think. I don't know. My prediction is Luers beats Concordia in that second round, and makes it to the championship. And then I don't know that there's any other team that's really going to give them a challenge after that, to be completely honest. So,
yeah.
And I'm recorded, so you can throw me under the bus, whatever.
So we have Todd Gilpin backstage and is sharing some thoughts in our private chat. He says Luers Concordia will be on a grass field at Belmont. And Concordia is a turf team. Does the field make a difference in this game? Luers plays on grass. Their home games are at Fort Wayne Sport Club. They play on grass, so it could come down to field conditions. You don't want to blame it on that or say anything about that, but I do think field conditions play a role in some of these games.
Yeah.
Moving on to the boys 2A, West Noble, we have Leo gets the bye. They have Angola faces off against Garrett, West Noble against Lakeland, Bethany Christian against Bishop Dwenger. This is the boys 2A sectional 19 hosted at West Noble. You look through that list and man, what are you seeing?
Leo's had a great season.
Mhm.
And they also got the bye. So I think that's like, well, yeah, that kind of feels about right. And Dwenger's on the opposite end. So to me, having those Leo and Dwenger is who I would see in the finals.
West Noble's a challenge there though too, right? 10-4-1.
Yeah.
I mean, West Noble's always a decent team, so I think that Dwenger versus West Noble will be that'll be a tough game.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think West Noble was the team Ryan brought up early in the season as kind of a sleeper team that maybe doesn't get all the attention, but is usually a pretty decent team.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that plays out here in this sectional. Who do you see? I mean, if you had to guess, who do you see coming out of that one?
That's hard. I would say we played both Dwenger and Leo this year, and I would say it's going to be between the two of them if I had to guess in the championship. And I think Dwenger pulls it out. Truthfully, I have friends that play on both teams, so I'm like treading lightly in relationship to that.
Right.
I think that Dwenger, I think Dwenger's coming in strong here at the end. I think they can. I think they could win it. I think it's going to be a tough one though. Maybe PKs, maybe super close 1-0 to 1 type of game, but yeah, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, we've got Jeff Beard in the chat saying Leo.
Yeah,
he thinks Leo. He's
He would.
confident is coming out of there. But no, those will be a tough matchup. I haven't seen Leo play yet this year. We'll see them later this week as we face off against them at Homestead, or I think we're at Leo this year maybe. But we'll play them later on. So maybe I'll have a better idea of what I think of Leo later on. But they were a tough team last year. I know they're a tough team this year as well. I've seen some of their highlights on Summit City Sports. Good team there.
Yeah.
Moving on, boys 3A, we've got 3 sectionals I have here, probably 2 that are most pertinent. I just have this one here. We'll hit this one quick. Goshen, Northridge, Penn, and Elkhart, Mishawaka, and Concord. I know they're not teams from this Fort Wayne area, but they're teams that teams from Fort Wayne have played against, right? So I know Carroll and Homestead have played Goshen. We haven't played Goshen. You've played Goshen.
Yeah.
I think we both played Penn, Concord, tough teams there. I think that's going to be that. This may be the sectional of death for the boys 3A with Concord, Elkhart, and Penn and Goshen. All in the same one.
Yeah.
So this is one we mentioned earlier, like top couple teams in state are here. There's not 1 and 2, but it's like, 4 and 6 and maybe 8. I can't remember off the top of my head, but that's going to be a tough sectional coming out. So I just wanted to flash that one on the screen. The ones that are probably more relevant to the Fort Wayne area here is the Homestead sectional, boys 3A sectional 5 hosted at Homestead. We've got Columbia City against East Noble in the first round, Huntington North against Warsaw, Homestead plays Wayne in the first round, and then Marion gets the bye, and they will face the winner of Columbia City and East Noble. I will save my thoughts on this one. Let you guys talk. And
why would you do that, Brian?
I mean, I'll share my thoughts. I just want to give you an opportunity to go first, and I'll tell you why you're right or wrong.
Yeah, right. I think Homestead's a strong team, and I'm not just saying that because you're here. I think they're a strong team. I think Warsaw is not as strong as what they've been in the past. I said that earlier today. So I see a Homestead making it to the championship. I see maybe East Noble. They, again, not had a great, super strong schedule. So I think Homestead has a pretty good, if they get past that second game, I think they have a pretty good in for the championship to win sectionals. And Warsaw, I think Warsaw's who took Homestead out last year in sectionals, right? So again, another out for blood type of thing. I think they handle them well. I think Homestead takes care of business with Warsaw and makes it to the championship. And who makes it on the other side? I think East Noble, but I don't know. I've heard Columbia City's been playing well from people around the area. I've not seen them play. We play them this week, so I'll be able to see them on Wednesday. But yeah, I foresee Homestead taking this pretty handily if they make it past Warsaw, which I think they should.
Yeah, I agree. East Noble could be a little bit of a sleeper there. Like you said, they have a great record, but probably not a super strong schedule to go back that. So I guess, Autumn, I got a question for you as a keeper. Like, if you are maybe in East Noble's position where you can go for the tie, do you like being maybe a keeper and say, well, if I got a good keeper, we're going to go for the tie, maybe go into PKs? Is that the confidence and maybe your only play?
You know? I would do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You sound really confident.
I like the confidence, 100%.
No, for sure. No, I would do it if you had a strong keeper and they have a good foundation with PKs. Absolutely, do it. I probably would pull the same card.
Okay, park the bus a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how that plays out. I will say, like, I can't speak too much because I don't want to give anybody bulletin board material on this one. I think the battle between Warsaw and Homestead is going to be, I think, the deciding factor in this one. Again, have not seen East Noble play, so I can't speak to that side of the bracket. Really, the only team we have seen in this bracket is Warsaw. And Homestead played Warsaw last year to a 0-0 draw on Warsaw's field. And then we lost 4-1 or 4-0, I think, in the sectional final there against Warsaw. Homestead beat Warsaw on our turf this year, 3-1. And so, again, it's just a battle that's gone back and forth the last couple seasons. And I think that's the one that is going to potentially be the deciding factor in that sectional.
These predictions are so hard because, come out of conference play where you're playing your own circle of teams. And I was trying to like cross check, like who's played who. Like there are so many new matchups other than maybe, a couple of them, like, wow, like anyone, we don't know what these teams, can do because we haven't seen them and no one's seen them.
Right. And that's the thing. Like you say East Noble may be a sleeper in this one, but East Noble may be a great team that maybe their strength of schedule hasn't been good, but maybe they would have handled business against some of the top competition in Fort Wayne and other area schools. So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen there? Moving on to our last one, boys 3A sectional 6 hosted at Carroll. We have Northrop getting the bye. First round, we have Southside facing Northside, DeKalb facing New Haven, and Snyder facing off against Carroll. Dustin, I'll let you reserve your thoughts
I was going to
on
say
this one until the end. And I'll let Paul or Autumn, if you want to speak first, go for it.
Got any thoughts, Adam? Autumn?
Carroll all the way, just for Dustin.
No, I
go ahead. I got to sit this one out.
Oh, you don't. So we have Carroll and Northrop on opposite sides of the bracket, which was two. I would have picked those as kind of the two teams that are going to duke it out, and I'm glad to see them on opposite sides. Maybe Carroll doesn't want to see Northrop with the bye there. So I think it's going to be Carroll Northrop in the final there, and if I had to bet on that, probably Carroll coming out. They're just have had a great season, 11-1-1, number 3 in the state for Max Prep, so it's hard to go against them. But Carroll, you said you haven't played Northrop yet.
We're not. We won't.
Okay, or you're not going to. Okay, so we don't know. That's another great mystery matchup.
Yeah.
I think this bracket worked out probably the most perfect of any bracket, right, that we've seen so far, with Northrop at the top and Carroll at the bottom of the bracket, facing off against each other. I do think that's going to be the championship game. We've got, others in the chat saying Northrop Carroll final, Jeff Beard there. Jeannie is in the chat. Speaking to our previous one, previous bracket, Goshen's ranked 5th and Concord 6th in the state. So that's going to be a battle in that sectional as well. And then from John Summer, he says it's sectional time. Anybody can beat anybody, weather, injuries, red cards, that's soccer. And again, we've said that since the beginning of this conversation, that anything can happen. The games have to be played. It is amazing. Like, as I think about sectional soccer, I always think about cold weather games. Like, I'm pulling out my winter coat or a heavier jacket with some gloves to coach on the sideline. And we had 86 degrees yesterday. Like, it could be a warm sectional, but the weather could turn in an instant and we could have some bad weather, rain, whatever, going into these sectional matchups that could totally throw a team off that's used to playing on dry turf or whatever all season long. So, any thoughts just overall? One thing we did not look at was, which teams will play each other coming out of this as we get to the regional. I believe the winner of sectional 5 and 6 will play each other. So the Homestead Carroll sectional will play each other. I didn't look at any of the others, and we'll get to that. We'll let the games play out, and we'll talk about regional as Fort Wayne teams move on, both boys and girls. Thoughts on what teams Fort Wayne in the Fort Wayne area, boys and girls, could potentially make the deepest run to state this year? Autumn, I'll let you speak since you sat the boys one out. As you look at the girls teams in the area, who do you think may make the deepest run? Yeah, I think them too.
Yeah. I like to see probably Homestead or Carroll go far. Yeah.
Okay. Paul, Dustin, thoughts on the girls? Which girls teams could go the farthest this year? I think Homestead Carroll are obvious ones for sure. Any others?
We got with the Homestead one, like I said, we're looking ahead to even the regionals. You're gonna have to go through like Hamilton, Southeastern, or whoever comes out of that. So that's gonna be really tough. But Blackhawk, I think they've had a great on the 1A side. The Blackhawk girls have had a great season.
That's
so I'd love to see them, continue that on.
Yeah, I agree. I think Homestead is, I speak for Paul, but I think Homestead's a very, very strong team. I think they can make a really strong run. I would like to see them make a really strong run. I'd love for them to make a statement against some of those indie teams, because I'm so sick and tired of hearing them. We were talking about it tonight on the selection show. They kept talking and like giving all the praise and like airtime to indie teams, and I'd love to see some Fort Wayne teams like make a run and like make a name for themselves. Just because I don't know, I think we have really strong teams up here in the area in northern Indiana, and I think that it's time for us to get some respect, especially the girls, for sure.
Go Dustin, good job.
Sorry. And I have no ties, so I can't say it.
On the girls side.
Yeah.
Well, the Leo girls, I mean, the Leo girls are 2A. They're playing in 3A because they had such
they did well
seasons, and then they lost a bunch of girls, so it was kind of a bittersweet way of doing it.
We have a question or comment in the chat. Heritage against Woodland or Manchester, is that boys or girls? I'm not sure which one we're referencing there. I'd have to go back to it. If you're still on, go ahead and let us know, boys or girls. We'll look through our notes here and see which matchup that was. Boys
probably here.
Yeah, that is the sectional 20 boys 2A. Let me get that back up here on the screen. Boys 2A. There we go. So the question:
Manchester or Woodland?
Yeah, Manchester or Woodland. Who do you see coming out of there against Heritage?
Woodland.
You think Woodland's coming out?
I'm just looking at the records and the max preps ranks right now, and that would say Woodland. So I mean, I don't have any other intel than that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, so Manchester is sitting at 5-7-1, and Woodland with a 12-2 record. So again, I don't know who those those teams are that they've played against, but Woodland definitely has the stronger record of the two. And
we were talking beforehand, I think, too, though. Like Manchester has two of the leading scorers in Indiana. Isn't that what it was for the boys?
They were at the time, yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know if that still holds up, but at the time, yeah, they had two.
So I don't know. I don't know how you go against a team with two of the leading scorers in the area. I would say Manchester, maybe, just to throw in a wrench there.
Yeah, I like it.
Good one, Dustin. So on the boys side, then we've got some strong teams. You talked about the girls teams making a deep run. We've got some strong boys teams here in Fort Wayne area. So as you look across 1A, 2A, 3A, who do you see making a deepest run? Besides, I'll just say Carroll. I think Carroll is probably the obvious one in the area because of their 11-1-1 record. And they're tough. Again, seeing them up close. I think Carroll's beatable. Goshen has beaten them, but that's the only team. I think they're beatable. But man, they've got a team I think could make a deep run at state this year.
I think Blackhawk Christian, I mean, we've talked about it, but I think that their boys have a real good chance of doing really well. They've shown it, and again, they've played top teams that are bigger than them. Bigger schools with technically bigger talent, you would say, pool to pull from, and they're doing well. I mean, they drew to Carroll. They they drew to Homestead. They're playing well against bigger teams, and so I think they have potential to make a deep run in the tournament.
Agreed.
I agree.
And we had we had Coach Sam Meyer from Blackhawk on. We didn't get a chance to record that. We talked about that earlier. So hopefully we'll get a chance to have Sam back on and talk about the run that they're making, hopefully, as they move forward. So
how about Lures boys on the 2A side? Yeah. Throw them in there.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd have to see. I don't know who they play coming out. If they win sectional, who they face off against.
Is it 19 versus 20? Oh, out of the sectional. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. So we'd have to look into that and see. Again, I just don't know who these teams are paired up against, but based on where they're ranked now and based on the teams that they've played, I think Carroll, I think Blackhawk. I do think Homestead has an opportunity. The boys, I think they're right there. With a draw to Blackhawk, a 1-0 loss to Carroll,
Carmel win,
and a Carmel win.
Yeah.
I think if the boys get things together and play consistently, Homestead's been on an uptick here this last part of the season, and so I think they do have a chance. And boy, they would love to get back at Carroll in the regional if there was an opportunity to do so. So it's going to be a fun one if we get there. So if the two of us get there, that'll be a fun one. So as we wrap up the show, I do want to just let you know we had yesterday at the Pat T. Garden Classic, we had opportunities to join us on Patreon. We talked about that. There's a link to Patreon in the description. The monthly tiers that we talked about, there's one-time donation tiers. I think those started coming in today, which is fantastic. We're grateful for that and your support of the show. We also had a giveaway going on for a team party, end of season party, beginning of season party, however you want to do it, to Lazer X. And we will do that drawing here in another week or so. We want to give some other teams opportunities to enter that drawing. So we will post that link in the notes to this podcast. If you're listening audio wise later on, or, you come back and you watch YouTube or Facebook, we'll have the link attached to this. So you can sign your team up. It's a simple form. Let us know if you're a coach, player, or parent, what team you're signing up. And I think that's all there is. It's really simple. We'll do a drawing in a week or so for a team party at Lazer X. Thanks for listening tonight. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you. We appreciate your support. And we look forward to next week, right before sectionals begin. Maybe we'll have a better idea as this last week of the season wraps up. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being part of the soccer community in Fort Wayne.